Hey guys, welcome to my new YouTube channel, and also welcome to part 2 of my 1968 Corvair restoration series. So today's going to be a pretty big day. I'd like to get it running again. So I already know that it runs. I've already changed the oil on it last year. All I would really need to do is hook fuel up to it and put the battery back in it, and it'll probably start right back up where I left off. But there's a couple things I want to do to it beforehand. So firstly, I'd like to put the new starter on it. I also have new fuel lines for the engine compartment, and I also need to clean out the fuel inlet line that I have, which would normally go to like a 5-gallon bucket or a boat tank or something like that. So I want to get those refreshed. I would like to rebuild the carburetors eventually, but I don't know if I'm going to be able to get to that today. But at the very least, I want to run it with how the carburetors are currently. So yeah, without further ado, let's get right into it. Okay, so right now the Corvair currently has its original starter in it. It's been working okay, but we actually had a starter completely run through by an alternator shop, and that is this guy right here. So it was initially on the 1966 Corvair, which is right outside, but I would just like to get a fully reman starter into here. So that is the first step I'm going to tackle today. Alrighty guys, welcome to the underside of my 68 Corvair. So I'm just going to kind of give a brief overview of some jack points. So if you guys have never jacked up a convertible Corvair, they have some unique jack points when compared to sedans or the coupes. So this is actually right behind the front wheel that you're looking at. Let me see if I can squeeze out from underneath here. Yeah, but right underneath the front wheel, there's a little bar of the subframe that comes down, and that's where the jack is supposed to be. And it's the same thing on the other side. So on this car, for some reason, this jack just did not want to make any contact. So I lifted it up again, and I put a whole bunch of rubber and a microfiber towel underneath there just to make sure that this can't move. So it is pretty much locked in there. And then on the rear, so right in front of the rear wheels, there's a little place that you can put the jack stands. These are all secure. Those are both pretty flat. So I guess we'll go ahead and get started with the starter replacement now. Alrighty, so now we're looking at the back of the car. That's the oil pan for the engine right there. And the starter is right up here in this pocket. So there's actually 3 bolts that are holding it on, so I'm going to go ahead and zip those off. Before I actually do that, I'm going to disconnect these wires here. Okay, so I just got it out, and my mistake, it was actually 2 bolts that were holding it on. And it was just those 2. So one was fairly out in the open, and then the other one was far behind it. And I actually had to remove that piece of heater tubing that was kind of blocking my way. And yeah, I got those contacts off pretty easy. Had to use a 9/32 socket. I'm not sure if that's the original size, but I had to use 9/32 for those 2. And then this one was a 9/16, just like those 2 bolts there. So fairly easy to get out. It's just going to be a bit of a pain in the butt to get the other one back on. But yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and do that right now. Okay. I got the new starter on, I got all the contacts hooked up, and I also hooked that heater hose back up. Like I said, it was always a real pain in the butt to get to that back bolt. So to make sure I never have to do this again, I also added a washer and a lock washer on the base of those bolts, because they did not have that before. And I also added lock washers to the base of all those contacts there too. So ideally they shouldn't loosen up in the future, and hopefully the starter is good for years to come here. So we'll go ahead and move up to the engine compartment. Okay, so we're back up to the engine compartment. I showed this to you guys yesterday in part 1. But as you can probably guess, I don't currently have any fuel coming from the gas tank. So this is the line that goes all the way back to the gas tank in the front of the car. And I currently have that disconnected. So this is the mechanical fuel pump here. I have that disconnected, and then I actually have a piece of brake line that I have in right now. And then that piece of brake line is hooked to a wire hose. or I'm sorry, rubber hose. And then that basically goes right down to here. So that is where the fuel is going to be coming in from. So I'm going to have a bucket or some type of container right down here that the fuel is going to be coming from whenever we try to start it. But before we do any of that, I need to go through and replace all of these fuel lines going to these carburetors because they were just leaking like crazy. And I also have a new 4-way brass fitting right here, so I'm going to go ahead and replace that as well. So I will see you guys once I get a little bit more progress made there. Okay, so I ended up getting all the fuel lines hooked up. So this one went in fairly easy. And by the way, I should mention I got both of these from Clark's Corvair, and I mean, both of them seemed to fit pretty good. This one was pretty much popped right back in. This one required a little bit of finagling to get in, but I eventually did. And for some reason, this brass 4-way fitting did not want to thread on right away, but I eventually got it. I kind of suspect I'm still going to run into some leaks, but we'll see how it goes here. But yeah, that was a fairly easy job, and these were both 7/16, and the return line here was 3/8, so just so you guys know. And then I also added another throttle return spring too, just because I've run into issues in the past where the throttle was kind of stuck on, so I'm just gonna keep that on there for now. And yeah, I guess the next step is getting some fuel hooked up to the motor here, so I will talk to you guys in a second. Okay, so this is my cobbled together fuel line here. So last time I tried to use this, it just leaked like a faucet, so I tried the trick that I learned on Pole Barn Garage, where for using unflared tubing connected to rubber hose, you just basically put 2 hose clamps on, kind of inversely oriented with each other, and I did that on both ends here. Now this is an old set of brake hose and brake line that I got from a previous kit whenever I was trying to fix the brakes on the 66 Corvair. So it actually has the same fittings that hook right up to the inlet of the mechanical fuel pump. And then this is just a length of fuel line that I got from AutoZone. So I'm going to go ahead and get this all hooked up to the mechanical fuel pump, and I'm going to run this line into a bottle of gas or one of my boat tanks or something like that, and then we'll go from there. All right, well, it's all hooked up. So that's the inlet to the mechanical fuel pump there, and then the fuel is going to be coming from this line all the way down. Then there's the rubber connection, and then that length of fuel line actually goes right down this hole here. So the fuel will be coming from right here. So I'm going to go grab a bucket of fuel, and then we'll go ahead and hook that up. But before I do that, I'm going to go ahead and check the oil level just to make sure we're looking good there. And then I guess I'm going to hook the battery up that I've had charging down here, and then we'll be good to go. Okay, just checking the oil here. So make sure the dipstick is fully seated, then you go ahead and pull it out. Let it drain off the end a little. And I'm not sure how well you can see that, but we're right about halfway between full and add. So I'm going to go ahead and add about a half a quart or so, and then we'll go from there. Well, I just finished topping it off with some VR1, about a half quart. Now we're right at the full line. And I also made a little bit of changes to the fuel delivery system here. So I have it going to the left side of the motor now, just because I don't want it to go straight through that hole, because I looked underneath and I don't want to have the bucket of gas right underneath the exhaust just in case it decides to backfire. So I went ahead and moved it over to the other side, and it just goes right down there. So it's not the cleanest setup, but I have a completely clean bucket, and I put some ethanol-free fuel in there. So yeah, I guess we can go ahead and give it a shot. Okie doke. Well, I have you guys looking right at the engine here, and I have my fire extinguisher ready just in case anything goes wrong. So I guess we're going to try to bump it here. We will see what happens. So positive lead first. I know it has black insulation on it, but that's the positive lead there. And now we'll go ahead and hook up the negative lead. Okay. Looks like the starter solenoid might have gone bad. Let me take a look at that. Well guys, I'm getting a little bit ready to call it mission failed for today. So I took the newer starter off of it just to see what all went wrong there. And basically there's 3 wires that go into this. So there's this big one which connects to the battery. Then you have R and S. So R had a yellow wire on it, and then S had a purple wire on it. And whenever I tried to swap the wires, the R decided to break off. So I need to solder on a new connection and give that another shot. But I don't think that would have caused the issue that we were having. It looks like the starter solenoid on the starter that was rebuilt somehow got stuck closed. So yeah, I'm gonna try to swap that connector out with the tools that I have right now, and I guess I can try it one more time here, but yeah, we'll just see. Well, due to the joys of having a parts car, I just took the this part of the wiring harness off of the 1966 right outside, and that has nice pliable little connectors there. So I'm going to go ahead and wire that up and see if that works any better with the old starter. So like I said, I replaced the new starter that I have over there with the older one that was on the that was kind of originally in this one. So with the other starter solenoid, we should be able to be in pretty good shape. So I will talk to you guys once I get this all hooked. All right, so I'm back, and I got this connector hooked up here, and I could not get those 2 connectors through the eyelet of this grommet. So if any of you old car guys have any tips on how to get wires and things like that through those rubber grommets, just let me know, because that has been a main frustration point that I continually run into with this car. But anyways, I have the battery hooked up now, and as you can see, the engine is not trying to turn over. So the starter solenoid must be better on this older starter, and yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and cycle the key and see if anything happens. So I'll take you guys over here. I've got to reach over because I don't have anything hooked to the door handle, but let's just see. Alrighty, that sounds good. So I'm going to go ahead and set the camera up on the tripod, and then we'll try to hook some fuel up to it again. Okay, I have you guys up on the tripod, just overlooking the engine. So I am going to put a little bit of gas down the carbs just to try to get them primed, and then I'm going to go over and cycle the key a couple times. Okay. Appears to be working. Smells good. I'm going to try to put a little bit more gas down the carbs and see if I could pull some fuel up. Doesn't look like it's hemorrhaging fuel anywhere, so that's one good sign. I am hemorrhaging fuel everywhere. Alright, let's try her again. Trying to put a little extra gas in. Where's that smoke coming from? I think it's just the exhaust. Yep. Okay. Open the throats a little. Alright, come on, baby. What was that? Sounded like we had a little bit of a backfire there. So I actually felt a little bit of gas on the bottom of the brass fitting, so we might actually be pulling some fuel up. So I'm going to give it one more try here. Alright. Genuinely the last one now. I'll mess with it a little bit more tomorrow, but at least I know that it sparks. It actually starts whenever you want it to. We just can't get it to quite run yet. I'll give it one more try here and then I'm giving up for the day. So I gotta go. Let's see. Come on. Last crank. Alright. I want to burn my starter up and it sounds like my battery's starting to die. So I think that's where I'm going to end it today. Yeah, so I couldn't get it to run. I got it to crank. I got it to kind of bark off a couple times, but I wasn't able to get it to sustainably run. And I think a lot of that has to do with the mechanical fuel pump not being able to pull fuel from the bucket that I have there. So I might need to fix my boat tank because I do have one. I just could not get it to hook up to the fuel line that I had reliably. It just leaked like crazy. So yeah, I'm gonna have to try to figure that out. But I'd just like to say as a little disclaimer for the channel that I am absolutely no expert. Like, I hardly know anything about vehicle wiring. I know absolutely zero things about suspension or steering. Like, the most that I've been able to do, like on my fiance's car, I was able to swap the water pump and the radiator. I was able to do disc brakes and things like that. It's been a long time since I've touched a drum brake. I've never really done any type of suspension work. I've done a little bit of work with like steering boxes and things like that on my Jeep with my dad, but I haven't been able to do a lot of that by myself. And for me, my best method of learning is to try to do something by myself and then go from there. It doesn't help so much having a teacher showing me exactly what I'm doing, unless I'm actually the one that's doing it and figuring everything out. So I think you guys are going to see a lot of that. Just know that I'm absolutely no expert, so if I'm making any grave mistakes, just let me know in the comments. And yeah, I think that's a good place to end it. So
I guess I'll see you guys in the next one whenever I try to troubleshoot the mechanical fuel pump, maybe play with the carburetors a little bit, maybe even rebuild them. I don't know, but we'll see. But it was a good time having you guys, so I guess I'll see you guys in part 3. So thanks for watching. Bye.